Weapons is absolutely f***ing mental. Hilarious, terrifying, all at once. To accommodate for the experience that I knew I'd be having in the cinema, I called upon my good friend, The Weapon. What you're about to watch is a cut down and edited version of my podcast in Flux, only available on Spotify. If you want to look at the whole 40-minute conversation we had, feel free to go over and check that out. Otherwise, let's just get straight into the video as normal. Enjoy.
Pleasure.
Obviously, it was a good couple of weeks ago now we watched Weapons, so we've had some time to sit on it. Personally, one of the wildest cinema experience I've had, because despite having, I know you didn't watch Barbarian beforehand, but I'd seen it, watched that back when it came out in cinemas, and I've seen it a couple of times since. I was prepared for Jacques Cregger's insanity, and I was still not ready for everything that Weapons threw at us.
Yeah, honestly, I just when we finished watching it, I was like what you said. It's not your film of the year, but it is mine. I think at the moment, just
Really?
because of how. Yeah. I just think I suppose I haven't really watched much this year, but so far it is, because it puts in all like genres in together. You know, you've got your horror in there, and it flipping goes hard on the horror. You've got the crime drama, and then you've got comedy as well, especially towards the very end. It sort of just ticked all the boxes for me.
It feels like a load of different movies in one, but whereas normally that's quite a negative, I feel like, when you talk about a film, I think it really works in this favor, because every second that I thought, okay, the film might be going this way, about 5 minutes later I was proven wrong. Like, it was so unpredictable, but in the best way. And, you know, even from the get-go, with like, we're getting into spoilers just generally. I can't be asked to be tedious and beat around the bush with them. So if you've not watched it, it's definitely a film to go in without knowing anything. And I was lucky enough to do so. But from early on, it you know, questions your expectation with that like montage of the kids. And I can't remember what the song is playing over it, but it's such a strange image, seeing all these kids run in this just bizarre way, doing this Naruto run away from their home in the middle of the night, and then for the song to be playing it, like, it was such a weird mix of emotions for me. I didn't know if I was uncomfortable or scared, or if this was hilarious, and that, I feel like that persisted throughout a lot of the film.
That opening montage, it almost like you felt quite the opposite of what you should have felt. You almost felt quite hyped up, and rather than scared, you were like hopeful almost. It was weird.
Like, it makes that mystery much more interesting, because obviously that's one of the like highlights of the marketing as well. It had a killer marketing campaign with just the idea of this singular classroom of kids disappearing, and not even just disappearing, like all being seen leaving their homes unprompted. It is such a simple yet unique concept, I guess, and so effectively scary, and the way that they present it is very effectively uncanny as well. Obviously the overall events only take place within obviously we have the actual event of them disappearing, but the actual main plot is, what is it? It could even be within like best part of a day, but most like,
it's like Batman Arkham type stuff. It all just happens in like one night or whatever.
We see everyone's different perspective of the same few hours, and I, at first, when I kind of realized that's what it was doing, I was a bit unsure on how that would pay off, but I think it worked in its favor by the end.
The non-linear storytelling, I think that was super unexpected. It's probably the best examples apart from Pulp Fiction.
God damn, Jimmy, this some serious gourmet shit.
It's probably one of the best examples I've seen of non-linear storytelling, just because when you see the perspective of one character witnessing what's happening to another character, it just makes you excited to see how that character how he got to that point.
You
know,
so
a bit like Benedict Wong's character, especially the petrol station scene where you know, he's flipping, you know, chasing after the teacher. I can't remember her name. You're trying to wonder how he's got to that point, and then you do eventually see it, and then but not for a while.
You see the outcome of it first.
Yeah.
It paces it out really well for me, because, you know, like, that's a perfect example of it, really. Like, we see that scene and we're like, what the fuck has happened to this guy? What's going on? And then by the time you actually get to his character's perspective, I think we go through Archer, Josh Brolin's perspective, before him. It not only builds additional suspense, because we're like, fuck, how does he end up in that state with the bulging eyes, the blood on the face, the same run? Like, it's the mystery is there and built up with maximum tension because of the time between revealing how he got there. Something that I've kind of taken from the way they tell the story is that I think by breaking it into character perspectives, it also benefits each character so strongly. I saw a detail, someone talking behind the scenes of Alden Ehrenreich's character. Is that how you say his name? Paul the cop.
Hans
By the way, before I say anything else, actually, I want to mention the moment where he just clocks the kid. What is it? Is it James? I think the kid's name is. And it's like, oh yeah, because he goes in his pocket, gets stabbed by a needle, and just fucking punches him in the face.
Valid reaction.
Like, yeah, no, I don't blame him at all. But that really caught me off guard. Yeah. But his segment was one of my favourites because I think it really lent into his character so well, and a cool kind of subtle detail that I found out after the fact. And because this could equally not be intentional, but I think knowing the filmmaker that Zach Cregger is, and just knowing how detailed this entire film is, when we see him meeting Justine, from his perspective, like when he goes to the bar, the hug they have lasts longer than it does when we see it from Justine's perspective.
Oh right, I didn't even notice that.
No, I know. I wouldn't have picked that up without someone actually saying it to me and showing it to me. I'm now desperate to know how much that happens throughout the rest of the film.
But was that intentional though, or was that just...
See, that's the thing. It might not be. Maybe
could be reading into it. But
that was just accidental and someone's read into it. But I think either way, it adds to it. I found Alex's section quite tough at times, like how that really drew parallels to a lot of people's real experiences with family and you know, him having to go home knowing what's going on there. And
just he can't speak to anyone about it.
Exactly. And Justine being the only one who's trying to push through. Of course, from the outside that does look strange, but you hear the context, you look a little bit deeper, and you get a whole new understanding. And I think again that links in with the way the story's told through each character perspective. The way you think about one character at one point in the film could drastically change by the time we get to the end, because we've seen every different perspective.
The whole the little storyline about Alex the kid, I suppose it also just plays a metaphor to, you know, how certain families are like today, you know, certain abusive households.
So I know we were talking off mic about this yesterday. The scene where the mom wanders out of the house in a weird kind of stumbling motion and she cuts Justine's hair. I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
I hated that so much.
Oh my god. I'm so glad I bought my jumper to hide under when we went to watch that.
Yeah, you did that a few times.
Many times. Oh my god. It's interesting because a few of my mates who have watched it, they found that scene hilarious. But it's like, it is so unsettling, and I'm just picturing now the way she waddles, and like it's giving me anxiety. I was explaining it to my mate the other day. I hasn't seen it. I was talking, and then I'm in the car. I look to my right as I'm talking, and I look to my left, and he's put his hand right on my face, and it fully scared me because of like just how on edge I was when I was talking about it. Like I've never ever had that with a film. It's probably because I've only just started watching horror films, so
yeah, it is quite you've gotten quite into them recently. I feel.
Yeah.
You watched Sinners, right?
No, I haven't.
That's racist.
That scene I found absolutely terrifying. I remember specifically the moment you hit the car door open, because you just have no idea what's about to happen. No. And I think knowing what the hair is for almost makes it scarier retroactively, because that's...
Yeah, because you didn't know what it was for before, did you? When you watched it there and then, you didn't know why they were doing it, which is pretty cool.
And that was still scary in its own right, not knowing. But I think the resolutions and reveals are so well done and so satisfying that it doesn't make it any less scary to rewatch on a second time. It's executed so well, like seeing the unbroken shot of her walking all the way in this such unnatural way, like trying to make out what she looks like, why she's walking the way she is, what she's holding. And obviously you slowly piece it together, you see the scissors and no sign of Justine waking up, and then I don't think it's addressed again really until we find out what the hair's for. Like it really forces you to wait for a lot of the answers, but I think it works in its favour.
I'm just picturing that scene now. Oh my god.
Probably my favourite jump scare in recent years, being the first time we properly see Aunt Gladys. I just adore how that sequence is executed. Like, the way, I can't remember specifically now, but just the kind of dream scenario that we're watching Justine go through, real surreal feeling. I think there's 2 or 3 moments before the actual scare where, you know, you're prepped for the noise and it doesn't happen. And so she relaxes when she sits on the bed, and it's almost a sense of, okay, this scene's over.
Yeah, we can relax now, and then it's just
such an unexpected visual. This character that we've not seen, really, a weirdly uncanny look, the makeup and the borderline Jimmy Savile tracksuit that she's got on, like, and just the image of her being on the ceiling. Like, I don't know, I was just so unprepared for where the scare was going to come from, because it threw us in so many different directions. Yeah, I'd say it gets more comedic the further you go on, but I think it still does keep a good sense of fear, because in that final act, I think one of my favourite bits in the movie, and I think you said a similar thing when we came out, was the kid James, who just keeps getting up, screaming.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Yeah.
As Josh Brolin progressively throws him harder and harder around the room.
That scene could have gone on for 15 minutes and I would have loved it.
Same. I thought it was fucking brilliant. I think sometimes it's worse when we don't get the jump scare.
Yeah.
Like, you build up all this tension, and then you're almost still, okay, we've moved on, but you're still waiting for that release, in a way. Obviously, we get another dream sequence with Brolin's character.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that jump scare with Aunt Gladys again when she's in the bed. That was a big.
And those badass Batman sheets, which I just assume is Brolin's bedroom. That's my headcanon. They just filmed it at his house.
I think Josh Brolin was the perfect pick, really. I know Pedro Pascal was going to take it on, but I think he sort of made the film, really, along with other cast.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's probably my favourite performance in the film. That kind of sequence being one of my favourite line deliveries, because, you know, he wakes up from the dream in the Batman bed sheets in the corner of the room.
He just
like the way he shouts,
"What the fuck?"
But that's a valid reaction. Anyone else who would have been like that would have. I think those exact words would come out of their mouth.
I don't think it's particularly subtle, but I don't mean that as a negative. But the core kind of underlying theme and real world connection being a school shooting event. So you know what, the film is so focused, as I say, on perception and this tight-knit community, and how they're affected by this event, and how they're all jumping to the most understandable conclusions, because that's all they want. They want an understanding. This thing has happened that they can't wrap their heads around, and so because Justine, first of all, obviously it's her classroom, but also the fact that she's not jumping straight on the bandwagon makes her a scapegoat for them. And I think I obviously we live in the UK, so it's a bit harder to talk
just
about.
Knife crime here, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Like I think it's an effective kind of analogy, and technically by the end, like, the kids come back. It's a really sad ending, I think, because the girl that narrates the film as well, my kind of take on what she says was like, they'd been back for like a year, I think she said, when in one of her lines, and I think she says something like, it's been a year now and some of them are starting to talk again. So like, presumably she's only just started to talk again, and the shot of one of the kids, I think it's Archer's kid's face as he's carrying him home, of just like no emotion whatsoever. Like, okay, yeah, these kids have come back.
It almost makes you question, like are they even back? Are they still possessed? Like, what's going on?
I was going to say, there's absolutely an element of that with the supernatural stuff in the film, and like, is there still something going on that could potentially re-emerge? But I think on the thematic side of it as well, like the fact that, okay, yeah, so like these kids are back, but they have had their childhood kind of ripped away from them. Like, they have, as much as this is a funny line to say, but it's also a very real thing that I think actually Alien Earth is somewhat tackling as well, which I find quite interesting. But almost the weaponizing of these kids, ripping their childhoods away, to a point that, you know, life is unrecognizable to them when they come back. And the same kind of ideas can be drawn to events like a school shooting in America. People who are fortunate enough to survive such a harrowing event like that's going to stay with you, massively, of course. And I think that's why that ending is quite sad, but the realist version of a conclusion that we could get.
Yeah, I think it's also the kids, you know, just not having any memory of what happened and just having to start over again, pretty much. I suppose it plays a metaphor into trauma, really. You know, that's what happens to kids, you know, witnessing such a horrific thing like a school shooting. You know, that's how it is.
Despite the fact the tone of the film gets more comedic as we go on, the underlying themes that get revealed and the actual plot developments are interestingly scarier, I think. But yeah, I wanted to move on kind of finally to talk about probably the biggest talking point, being Aunt Gladys.
Smash.
What the fuck?
Next video, this spooky season.
Frankenstein's monster can be destroyed by fire. Dracula by a silver stake driven through his heart. But nothing will avail against the absolute evil of the creeping flesh.